I was in a lot of fights, lost a lot of fights, got beat up a lot. Grade 6 was interesting because there was a classmate. His name was Mike. He did this presentation, D-Day, World War II, paratroopers. And I was like, what's a paratrooper? What's World War II? What's D-Day? And I thought, that's going to be me. I'm going to be a paratrooper because no one is going to pick on me anymore, and no one's going to pick on anybody else on my watch. And so from that moment forward, I was zero focused on becoming a paratrooper.
Before we get into this week's episode of the Calgary Sessions, I want to quickly talk about the new studio that we're filming in. It's called Offset Studios. It's a 3,000 square foot facility with 4 unique sets inside of it. We produce podcasts, corporate talking heads, fireside chats. We also do headshots, product shots. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out offsetstudios.ca. Now, let's get into the show. Welcome to the Calgary Sessions. This is episode number 193. I'm your host, Jeff Humphreys. Before I get into it today, my only ask, if you're digging the show, please subscribe to it. Today's guest. I operate in this weird world where I'm kind of like energy, universe. I trust my intuition. And so the way this one showed up was this dude's name came up twice in a 7-day window. And each time it showed up, it was like it showed up in a different context. The 2 individuals had like they said different things about you. And right away I was like, and then I knew that we were connected on LinkedIn. You'd reached out last year. So, there's like a loose connection. But anyways, I don't think it's random when I hear your name twice in 7 days. I feel like that's something poking at me to then invite you on the show. That's how this thing came to be. So please name and who you are.
The universe conspires. I am Vince Fowler. And who am I? I am curious. Everything's figure-outable. I am compassionate. Compassion is not empathy. It's not endorsement, but we're surrounded by humans, and circumstances can be ugly or they can be amazing. And, there can be tragedy. They're still human beings. So compassion is really useful part of me. Agency. I am a person of choice. I choose to be here, and not just in this seat. Thank you very much. But agency is 51% of the game. You can, showing up is 51%. So I lean into agency. And then the rest of me is pretty obvious. Husband, father, I'm a man, and really, really love life, and yet have a very real history, and so that has scars, but I'm the one that I'm not the event, I'm the one that experienced the event. Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one. I do zero research on anybody.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
I found that out in my research.
So I know nothing. And so those 2 different, when your name shows up with Tyler and Sean, they both, that was that was the first time I had context on you. So I had no idea. I had no idea about anything, what you do for a living. Yeah. I know nothing. And so they just dropped these little things, and I'm like, right away, this will be an interesting conversation. So thanks for saying yes, obviously.
Yeah.
You've seen a couple of these?
I have three full ones.
Perfect. So you have. I've
seen smettons of others for sure.
When I spam
love the sound bites on LinkedIn, but I've beginning to end. As soon as you reached out, I watched Matt Brown. I watched Sean's and Heather, who wrote that book.
Mm-hmm. Well, this will be fun. This will be fun for me. We talked for fucking 40 minutes before we even sat down here, so I just feel like this is I'm very interested in where this is gonna go. So walk this thing back. Where you grew up, how you grew up, parents, siblings, experiences, sports, jobs, school, and maybe we'll get to where you are today in one show, but maybe it'll be 2. So anyways, walk this thing back.
Yeah. Born and raised in Williams Lake, BC. Just my mom. And in the beginning, that was a really cool adventure. First female pilot in Williams Lake, BC, water skied, very self-sufficient. I'm born in 1969. That makes me 56. It's not cool to be a single mom, unwed,
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of admiration for her. And, she she had scars and injuries, and she could run a chainsaw, and just my hero. When I was 3, my grandmother moved up from the United States. So my mom's American. They came up from the U.S., Spokane, Washington, and I think the deal was my grandfather was chasing mill work, like forestry, and so there was lots of mills in Williams Lake. Even when I was there, it was like 9 different sawmills. So forestry's a big deal, mining's a big deal, and then of course you got hunting, fishing, and lakes, and all the things you can do on a lake. So I learned how to fish. I learned how to catch a fish, hook a fish, gut a fish, eat a fish, start a fire with one match. Took great pride. She took pride in teaching me these things, and I took great pride in learning them. And funny enough, here I am today teaching these skills to my kids on how to start a fire. It's a life skill. So, but grandmother came up when I was 3, and then my first memory of a father would be my mother's second husband. He was around for about 6 months, didn't stay very long. He was quite abusive, physically and yelly, and apparently he was calm, and then the wedding, and then just completely different person. So, I was really proud of her for having the courage to bounce him. But like, he had this rule: you couldn't sleep on the couch. And I 4. I just finished writing a letter to Santa, and the deal was write what you want, let Mom proofread it, and then crumple it up and put it in the fireplace, in the stove. And so we just it was warm winter on the sofa. He wakes us up, and the very next day he sends us both to the woodpile. And like really? You can't fall asleep on the couch? No. So my mom brings a stick in, I bring a piece of bark, and he looks at the bark and he throws it on the floor, kitchen floor, and hits me with his hand, spanks me with his hand. And then I left the room, and I heard him wail on her. I heard him throw the plates around, dishes, big. I don't remember him being around much after that. So she drew the line on that. She's a really strong woman. And her father, my grandfather, I didn't know him very well. I don't know him very well. Had very little interaction. Him and my grandmother had divorced, but he was a U.S. Marine and World War II, Pacific Islands. So he would have seen a whole lot of stuff. And 2 years after the war, him and my grandmother started having kids. So they had the 3 kids: my uncle, my mom, and then her other brother. So it's back to just the 2 of us. She's very resourceful, has multiple jobs to raise me. But by the time I'm in grade 3, I've been to 8 different schools, and I haven't even left Williams Lake but once for, let's say, half a year up to Kitimat or Terrace. So, yeah, Terrace, E.T. Kenny. I was the new kid for 6 months, and I was back to Williams Lake, a new kid again. So yeah, I've been bounced just because of our moving, not because of anything I've done. So in the process of that, I've also failed grade 2 and don't have a dad, and Father's Day, and we're all making gifts for Father's Day. And, I'm like, we had to cut out a tie, and every tie was a coupon for your dad. And I was like, who's this for? And I started making up stories like, my dad and I'd make up this story. He was a pilot in World War II. I didn't even know what World War II was, by the way. I wouldn't find out until grade 6. But so she ended up at a company, forestry management company. Started off in reception. They didn't believe that she was like a tough cookie kind of thing. But she'd already spent summers picking pine cones for however many pennies a cone, and you pick a big burlap bag. She could already run a chainsaw. She hunt, she gut, she harvest her product, all these things. So they put her on the reception, and next thing you know, she's timber cruising with the guys, and next thing you know, she's dating the boss, and next thing you know, I'm in grade 5, and they get, it was hard for them because he was separated. They'd gotten a divorce. They were in the presence of a divorce. So he became my 3rd stepfather. I didn't know my first one. He was come and gone before I have a memory. But his wife and his 2 kids had been killed in a car accident. And it's like, whatever year that was, 80. So modern day therapy doesn't exist. We don't know anything about these kind of things. Suck it up, buttercup, and get at it. So he's got a business to run. And so that continues after their death, my mother and him marry. So that's where I got the name Vince Fowler. I was born Vincent Lampert. And I thought, awesome, I got myself a dad. It was really cool to have a dad. But it didn't, fast, it didn't work very well because I don't think he had the capacity to. His boys, they were grade 7, grade 8. That's pretty hard, long time relationship. We now live with him. He's got a property, 80 acres. The front half is kind of open and the back half is all forest. We've now got cows, chickens, pigs. I've always grown up around animals, so we've always killed our own chickens, plucked and ate. Pigs, have a big party, literally, and big kill fest. And if you help, you got half price off the meat. So, we'd slaughter 20 head that day, and it meant nothing to us, right?
Yep.
So to this day, I'm at the top of the food chain because I love meat. But that outdoors was amazing for me. That 80 acres, that was one of the biggest gifts. We always had space, but I'd lived in a trailer park with my mother and my grandmother and slept on the couch for I don't know how many years until my mom and her had built a house of their own. So I didn't always have my own bedroom. Slept on the couch a lot. And then grade 6, school number 9, and which was also school number 1, there was a kid, class, brand new. I'm brand new to this school. It's already, I learned early to use humor as a way to navigate new relationships. So my mouth wrote a lot of checks. My body either had to cash or like balance. So I was in a lot of fights. Most of the time it was just my mouth. It was just me protecting me. Yeah. But some kids weren't. It's the 80s. Some kids aren't afraid to throw down real fast. So in a lot of fights, lost a lot of fights, got beat up a lot. And, grade 6 was interesting because there was a classmate. His name was Mike, and he was kind of the only one that paid any attention to me when I got to this school. I was definitely the outsider. Most of these kids have been together since kindergarten. Yep. And he did this presentation, D-Day, World War II, paratroopers. And I was like, what's a paratrooper? What's World War II? What's D-Day? And I thought, oh, wow, as he brought this out. And I thought, that's going to be me. I'm going to be a paratrooper because no one is going to pick on me anymore. Yeah. And no one's going to pick on anybody else on my watch, because it's one thing to get beat up. It's another thing to watch someone else get beat up and have no capacity to support, help. And so from that moment forward, I was just completely zero focused on becoming a paratrooper. and throughout. So grade 6, grade 7, I started reading. When I learned the difference between fiction and nonfiction, I flipped from comics to Vietnam, a little bit of World War II, but then I very quickly learned about Vietnam. And this is when I learned that my father was a Marine, or my grandfather was a Marine, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to be a Marine. I want to be like my grandfather. This desire to want to be important to my grandfather, because he treated my cousins way different than he treated me. And I thought, I wonder if this would make him like me, love me, pay attention to me, or what. And so I just pursued that. And my mother, her uncles, her father was in World War II. 2 of her uncles went to Vietnam. Her brother went to Vietnam. They all have very different stories and experiences. One's in the Navy and has a very different experience than the one in the Air Force in Da Nang, trying to fix F-4 Phantoms. And then another one is a air traffic control. And so they all have very unique circumstances. I remember not realizing at the time, but we were watching the Vietnam War at dinner. And so she's like, you're not going to join the Army. I said, yeah, I am. She goes, no, you're not. Yeah, I am. Well, you can't join the Marines. They won't take you. I said, why not? So I wrote them a letter. Grade 6, my grade 6 teacher, she helped me write that letter, and I get a response from a recruiter. No way. Do good grades. I said, my mom's an American. He says, okay, just finish high school, kid. And she says, yeah, the recruiter doesn't know what he's talking about. You can't be a Marine. I said, okay, well, going to join the Canadian military. I knew nothing about the Canadian military. So then I started digging and like, it's not like the internet. It's encyclopedias. So I started looking like, what are my search terms in this encyclopedia? So I stumbled on the Canadian Airborne Regiment. Well, what's that? A bunch of paratroopers. This is them in World War. This is their history in World War II and Korea. And I was like, I'm going to be a paratrooper in the Canadian Airborne Regiment. And no one believed me. My mother put me in cadets thinking that's going to smarten me up right away. So she literally drops me off. Bye. I'm like, okay. I walk in and I stand there and watch these people parade and do things. And somebody comes over. What are you here for? Just you want to join? Yeah. Okay. Come on in. And then just welcome me. And I excelled through cadets. Loved every second of it. First air cadets, this was my thoughts. I'm 11 years old, right?
Young man.
Okay. If I join the Air Force and they shoot me down, I'm going to be in trouble. I won't be with friends. If I join the Navy, I can swim really good, but the ocean's big. So I want to join Army cadets. But we don't have Army cadets. And he was like, okay, Navy or Air, Navy or Air, Navy or Air. At least if I get shot down, I'm still on the ground. Air cadets. So that's when she dropped me off at Air cadets. 11 years old, that was going through my head.
Were you like clear-minded? Like
in that moment? Yeah.
And just like even leading up to that, like were you a introspective kid? Were you by yourself a lot? Like
yeah. Had cousins, so my mom's two brothers, both brothers were still in Canada. The younger brother from Vietnam, he had gone back to the United States, and they went with him. Their lives were very different than mine. I was the only sibling. Like I didn't have siblings, but so they're my cousins, and my cousins were kind of like my siblings. And they had a dad and a mom, and very different. Like mom did this and dad did that, and my uncle had a saw shop. He would eventually sell that to Grandpa, and Grandpa would sell him his ranch. And so I'm 8, and we move out to the ranch. I move out for the summer. And so my cousins are all my siblings, but it was always different for me. I was always the odd man out. And like this is horse and buggy. It's 100 miles southwest of Vanderhoof. You leave your truck there and you offload a horse and a cow. My 3 cousins are like 2, 3, 5 or something like that. Like they're bang, bang, bang. I'm the oldest by a year, my cousin Laurie. And so we walk halfway to the ranch, which was it's a 25-mile walk. So we did the first day on day 1. Day 2, stay in the cabin on the first night, and the next morning we hitch a wagon and 2 team horses and make a day trip back to the truck and start offloading supplies. And we start doing this for the next few days. But we were coming back from one of these ferries, and now we're all on horses except for my cousins, me and my aunt on a horse, and my cousins, and I don't know how to ride a horse, sore bum, but it's tired, right? I'm 8 years old, and I don't know how to sleep on a horse. And so my aunt, just like in a wagon train of 1, and she says, he pulls a box out, dumps me in like a garbage can, like ass in and legs out and arms out, and I fell asleep staring at this star. The next day, so back up. I'm on the wagon. They just literally threw me on the wagon, but it bumped and it rolled off. I rolled off, and my head landed under the wheel. It was a tire wheel, thankfully, but we're in a bog, so it went over my head. And of course, I'm sad and crying and all these things. So that's when the box stuffed me in. Okay, so now I'm crying and I'm staring at this star. I'm just staring at this star and staring until I pass out. The next day, my grandfather lands his plane on the airstrip out front, comes in the house. My uncle goes outside. He comes back inside. He pukes in the sink, and I find out my Uncle Ed has died. And I thought I did it. I thought because I stared at that star. Or did I? I was like, my Uncle Ed died, and he got killed in a head injury. So that was one of the very first times, and I'm 8, where I started to think, Isn't that interesting? And so I'm cautious not to look at stars as a kid. And I started to think like that. I read a picture Bible, and I wonder if this is true. Like, so I started to think a lot as a kid. And I played outside a lot as a kid. On the ranch, we would go shoot squirrels, skin them, sell the pelts to the trapper, and make money. We could get $1 a squirrel pelt if we didn't wreck it while we skinned it. And yeah, so like tons of exposure to the outside world.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know yet is the safest place for me was always in the forest. Yeah.
Was there any sports when you were growing up?
Hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey right away. I played when I was there's a picture of me I have. I'm 5 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
Whether it's my first year or second year, but it didn't last. The long morning ice times and the long drive, we probably were half an hour away from the city, let alone the ice rink. So 2 seasons of that, and then it was baseball for the next 7 years until the league collapsed. And then in high school, so then I joined cadets, but in high school, I learned about rugby. I really wanted to play football. And a kid in class said, hey, you should come out to rugby. Rugby, what's that? Blah, blah, blah. I sound dumb. Well, I played rugby for 22 years. Love the game. It really blossomed me. But so, junior high was school 10.
Yeah.
High school was school 11.
The cadets piece, and then this like the service piece. Was it like you're young, but were you like ultra focused on it? Me as a youngster, I'm like, fuck. I was focused on recess, and that was it. But you were like locked in. Locked in
because it was all about meaning, serving others, protecting others. I couldn't wait to pick fights with bullies. And what I learned years later, like 2020, is I didn't actually join the Army to pick fights with bullies. That was a pretty fun byproduct.
Yeah.
But it was for connection, family, safety. It was brotherhood because I didn't have the best family.
Yeah.
My stepfather and my mom have 2 kids, and we adopted a girl, Bonnie, and I've got my sister Glenn and my brother Alex. But Alex was 8 and Glenn was 4 when I joined the Army. And Bonnie, just a beautiful young lady, fostered, who just had a horrible, horrible go of her own beginning of her life, and so she ran away, and so I was, I didn't have much family. They were there, but the gap is 11 years between me and my brother.
Yeah.
15 between me and my sister. Very, very different circumstances. After school, I'd milk the cows. First, you got to go find them. 80 acres or somewhere. They're somewhere. Bring my pellet gun, shoot stuff.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot, like I said, the safest place for me was always outdoors. So unless it was really beat down raining, I was either looking for cows, feeding cows, splitting wood, stacking wood. Like it was a lot.
Yeah.
But that's where the work ethic came and the focus. Now, it didn't please the school, because school, I was just looking at my report cards today. Vince is disruptive. Vince is not focused. Vince can't read. Vince can't do this. Vince is this. Vince is that. And it's just negative, 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 negative. There's a letter from the principal saying, if this keeps up, he won't be able to hold a job. Like, no one believed in me. And I have 1 B, a couple C's, and P's, and a D. And it's just like, next, failed grade 2. But grade 2, there was 5 different schools.
Crazy.
And only learned about the one. I was like, I don't remember going to Chimney Valley. Oh, yeah, I did go to Chimney Lake School. I remember that bus ride. I got beat on the bus a lot.
That's a lot of bouncing around at a young age.
Yeah, all in the same town.
Crazy.
Yeah, real crazy. I normalized it. So I had a high school teacher I met in junior high, Bill Turkel. You got teachers that you can just remember like that?
Phys ed teachers.
Yeah. Bill was a shop teacher. Met him in grade 8. And just such a unique way of dealing with kids. And he spoke multiple languages. and we had East Indian, Punjabi, and a couple others. So he sees a bit of blood on my shirt, and he goes, "What's that?" And he lifts my shirt, and I'd carved USMC into my shoulder muscle with a razor blade, my mom's razor blade. You do that in this day where like you're in a pink room and a straight jacket, but like I wanted to be a Marine so bad. And he says, what are you doing? And he pulls me aside and he takes me into his office. I thought, I am in trouble. My mom doesn't even know about this yet. And he tells me he was in Vietnam. I was like, what? Like all through grade 6, grade 7, and now in grade 8, I'm reading Vietnam books on the bus, nonfiction only. He starts telling me a story, a little story, a little bigger story, a little more risk, a little more scare. Like, what's this kid got in him is like, I'm going to smack some truth into this kid. He wasn't keen on the idea, but he at least knew that there was no change in my mind where my mother was, you're not going to be in the Marines, you're going to go in the Canadian military. They're more respected, she said. And I thought, okay. So I just trusted that I couldn't go to the U.S. And he was my teacher all the way through, right to grade 12 too, because we both transferred at the same time. So him and my phys ed teacher that taught me rugby.
It'd be an interesting, like, for him to come across you. I'm sure it's like very interesting for him to kind of like have these conversations because you're like young. Yeah. You're young, but you got this like vision figured out.
I'm wearing a camouflage hat.
You're like way.
I'm wearing a Marine issue. There's a surplus store in Spokane my grandmother took me to, and if it had USMC on it, I bought it. I wore camouflage pants. The world can thank me for making camo cool because I wore it all the time when it wasn't cool. Took the beats for it. But yeah, I was that kid. I had short hair. I wanted to be in the Army. Now I wasn't. Well, I shouldn't know. I can't. My experience was I always felt safe in this body. I had cadets. In cadets, I progressed, but in academics at school, I was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a few teachers retired because of me. Like just not this kid again.
Just not interested.
I didn't know at the time. Like I couldn't. If it didn't make sense to me, why are we doing it?
Yeah. And
I really feel for my son. He's he's in grade 10 math. And he's like, Dad, I said, I know.
Sorry.
So he's got a tutor. I had a tutor. Yeah. But I just couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah.
And math was one of my better subjects. History was one of my better ones. Obviously, phys ed, shop class was good. But again, C+. I was in music. But if it involved movement and creativity, I did well. If it didn't involve movement and creativity, for me, there wasn't a lot of creativity in math, but at least math made sense.
Yeah.
But the teachers, like, again, knowing what I know now, and we'll get into it, there's no questions from the teachers. Like, why is this kid so hard?
Yeah.
Why is this kid always in fights? What's going on? But that question was never asked.
No, and in that era, that generation, to your point, there's like
no one asked.
Yeah, you're just a problem child. We'll deal with you.
I have a plan with my psychologist. I'm going to bring all these report cards in and take a few pictures of my BC grades or whatever it is, like your diploma results or whatever.
Yeah.
But the vice principal, grade 11 or 12, saying this kid is. Mrs. Fowler, you're in tough. He's not going to be much of a human.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people wrote me off. And would you believe I was valedictorian?
Come on.
Right? Our school did it different. They said, you get 2 minutes to tell the student body why you. So I went to a teacher and I said, do you think I could do this? He goes, you'd be the perfect one. English teacher, never had him as a teacher, but he liked me. He high-fived me in the hallways. Yeah. He saw me. He just was never my teacher. So we put together this acceptance speech, and I learned to juggle. One of the guys on the rugby team was from South Africa, an exchange student. He taught me to juggle. I was like, my opening line was, of course, all the popular people are there, all of them. But I had friends in every category. And I said, you guys know what it takes to be up here, let alone be your valedictorian? Like, do you have any idea what it takes? And I pause, and I start, it takes balls. And I started juggling. And I said, but then we drop him. And we got to pick him up, and he takes balls. And I used the ball as a metaphor, like all of our experiences. And I told our story in 2 minutes with this tennis ball. And so I got it.
Standing O, and like you get the vote on you, or was there just applause? Yeah,
I got the vote at the end of the day, and I smuggled in my tennis balls because, again, remember, I'm the problem child. Like, oh boy, can't believe I picked him. So that's how I opened up my grad speech. So do you know what it takes to be a valedictorian? And then I pulled out these tennis balls, and I just said, it takes balls, and what it takes to grow up in this town, and all these shared experiences we all had, regardless of whatever clique or group you were in, what it means to survive this town. And so that English teacher, who wasn't my English teacher, helped me with the talk, helped me with my timing. Like, I wish I knew his name. McKernan, maybe. I could go look at my annual. I saw my annual this morning. But no one believed in me other than my phys ed teacher, who taught me rugby, my mechanics teacher, and this English teacher that was never my teacher.
So how do you explain that? Is it just you had something in you, like wild self-belief, or like what's the gear to get there?
If you couldn't make sense of it to me, I just didn't care.
Just weren't into it.
I don't think I had time to care. I had way too many other things in my life to worry about. Bullies were number one. Yeah. And they were everywhere. Yeah. You know, like even my final year was just hanging out at the school bus waiting for it to show up after school. And the guy kept throwing me into the lockers in the hallway. But I'd always snipe back, right? Like I always had something to say. Like you might be big or tough or whatever, but and he came at the school bus and he just walked right over, and I just knew, like, it's going to happen. And he just jerseyed me and just started feeding. And I remember it was like everything slowed down to full motion. I said, I don't know how to fight on my feet. I always lose, so I have to get him to the ground. I'm 205 pounds. I've been lifting.
You were like...
I was a big kid. Yeah. Farming hay. And
strong.
The phys ed teacher taught us how to work out for rugby. So my whole goal was to get to 205. And so I'm 205. And I said, okay, if I can get him to the ground, he's just a bale of hay after that. And so, but of course the bus stop teacher arrives and
it's too late.
Break up. But I didn't trust this guy. So I said, you take him and I'll let go. We got suspended 3 days, and I spent 5 days in a manure pile, hauling it down to the garden. If you're going to fight, you're going to work. Not good. You don't have time for school, you're going to work. So that was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I started when my dad went to work, and I didn't stop until he came home. I was allowed 15-minute smoke break, and I didn't smoke. Well, in grade 2, I smoked for 2 weeks. But yeah, so.
The introduction to rugby in high school?
Yep.
What was it? Was it like, what clicked for you? Was it team? Was it like the physicalness? Like,
man, like
I never played it, but I know a lot of dudes that played it.
It became my drug because up until our very first game, I couldn't make sense of it. And it's not that I knew football any better, but football was this man's game growing up, and we just didn't have a program nor the gear, and on and on. We play our first game, and all of a sudden, all the drills click. It's like, I know what's going on. And they give me this position and prop in the front row, loose head prop. And I think one of the grade 12ers was mentoring me in this. And I was like, okay, very cool. So I wasn't starting lineup, but I was getting some good reps. Yep. And the coaches because I played hockey, but I spent a lot of time on the bench. Played baseball, spent a lot of time in left field. Like, don't put him anywhere he has to do something. So again, no one believed in me. Yeah. But Dave Chambers was a UBC athlete, destined for Canada, broke his neck. So he coached after that. And he always said, you play with class. I make no cuts. You cut yourself when you don't come to practice. I thought right there and there. It was my very first practice. I get to play rugby. So, yeah, he was the man of his word. And so when I coach rugby today, I say same thing. I don't make cuts because we can't. It's at my school. But your attendance dictates how we consider you for the starting lineup. So But I'd say by game 2, the drug was on.
Yeah.
And I got some early recognition from the coaching staff. We had 2 great coaches, a couple guys on the team who were in grade 12, who's like, who's this kid? Like, so all of a sudden they started paying attention to me. Their girlfriends started paying attention to me. Kids in the hallways started paying attention to me. Mm-hmm. And in my grad, it says like, Vince is a real swell guy. If he's not marching, he's dumping you into the ground and breaking your collarbone. And I broke 2 collarbones in practice. Not intentionally. That was just a terrible outcome. But I was very intense in practice. It was this physical outlet, and there was immediate feedback in sport, right? Yeah. Do this, get that. Yeah. Tell me what to do, and I'll get it.
You graduate high school?
I did. Just barely.
51%. No way.
Pretty much everything.
Did you have, obviously it was like Army, Marine, like that was that still the goal coming out of high school?
Coming out of high school, yeah. I hung around. By now I've got a job at the mill. In the summers I work as a ranch hand, not far from where my uncle and aunt raised. So I was a ranch hand on the summer of between grade 11 and 12 and a ranch hand again. And, everything from mow the grass, mow the crop, mow the hay. And then I spent most time raking. And then the Dave would do all the baling and his wife would do most of the cooking and mowing. So I did, and then fence building, fence repair, hunting cabin, get it prepared for hunting season, get rid of all the squirrels and all that kind of stuff. So I'd already knew my way around most of the equipment. And it was just a matter of, here's how you keep it maintained. So, and again, but immediate feedback, like you mow the crop, then you rake the crop, then you bale the crop. There's a beginning and a middle and end. And I learned that if I can do really good at beginning, middle, and end, task orientated, and again, this positive feedback loop, I thrived on the farm, and I thrived in rugby. And then when I joined the Army, I knew I wanted to go infantry. I knew that this one particular battalion would go to Germany, the 2nd Battalion based in Winnipeg. So the recruiter would call and he'd say, hey, you want to go? And I said, what unit? RCR, Royal Canadian Regiment. No, sir. Click. He'd call me repeatedly. And then my friend said, hey, I'm getting married. So I said, well, I know I won't be able to visit you after I'm in the military, so I guess I'll hang around till August, a year after graduation. But the recruiter would still call. Hey, we've got a slot open. And I kept, which unit, which battalion? He'd tell me, okay, if it's not 2nd Battalion, PPCLI, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, I'm not interested. And I had that conviction. And so I had to get down to 186 pounds, and I'm 205. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I do this? Working at the mill, you've ever had to lose weight fast?
No.
I had a boxing coach. I thought, I need to learn how to fight on my feet. So that was one. So I had a boxing coach for, I don't know, a year and a bit. And then, but he's like, I said, I'm 205, Lance. And he goes, put a garbage bag on, sweatpants, sweatsuit, get go to the gym, get on the bike. And here's this magic potion, which is a diuretic, lemon, squeeze a lemon, bit of maple syrup, and water, cayenne capsules. I did that for 3 times a day for 3 days, lost 10 pounds like that. Yeah. And ride the bike, right? Yeah. No. So I go to the recruiter, I do my thing, and at the very end, I go, you gonna weigh me? He goes, you look great. I'm starving. Off to Cornwallis, top candidate, 97% on everything, academics, athletics, military history, crush it all. Comradeship Award, which is basically a popularity contest, and I mean that in a nice way. Yeah. Who's your guy? Yeah. So this is confusing for me. School told me I was
fucking okay.
Pain in the ass. Military said, holy, look at you. Walk out there with these 2 prestigious outcomes. Infantry school, 4 months, top 3 guys, another course after that. Always in the top candidate or something very, very close. Yep. Machine gun, whatever it was, didn't matter. I excelled. And then jump school was your weakness is my strength. I just steal souls, stealing from David Goggins for half a second. But there was this guy, and he was struggling to do his push-ups. We all were. But as he got weaker, I just got stronger mentally, right? And I was like, I'm going to be a paratrooper. I want it. You don't.
The feedback you're getting in high school to then like this, are you just like lit up? Are you just like
Part of me, yeah.
just fired and like I found my world?
I found my world. It was literally my drug. It was this positive feedback, this recognition. And my value, my worth was predicated on my accomplishment. So I had zero accomplishment growing up. I at home, I had to read the room, and there was heavy consequences if I didn't. And so I learned to, whatever your needs are, I'll do that, and then that will usually work out well for me.
Yeah.
Military and athletics is a little bit different. Anybody who's ever played sport, right? If you're performing, you're going to work your way up the ladder, first line, and so I started getting really good courses. Oh, this guy's going to do well. Like, I wanted to be a machine gunner, and that thing's heavy compared to your 7-pound rifle. It's a 26-pound machine gun plus ammo. So, but even though it's a pain in the ass to drag around, it's like there's massive pride in being the machine gunner. And then most of the courses in the military just pass or fail. Like, it's not ranked like that. Yeah. But there is an academic component to everything. It's just, but it's their top candidate is both academic, application, and all these things. So I thrived. So that positive feedback loop was huge, but it was also looking back, it was undermining my value, because if I wasn't winning, if I wasn't achieving, then I was like, okay, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. When you're going through it all, like when does the training end, and then what kind of happens? Like, and you're doing so well in the training. Like, what are you looking for when it ends? Like, what happens when the training ends? Like, how does it?
It never ends. So basic training's 2 months. Yep. Infantry school's another 4. You're on another course right away. And then if you're not on a course learning, you go on an exercise and you train more. And then we get deployed. So Germany shuts down. The federal government says, okay, the Cold War is over. The unit's there is going to stay there and just kind of ride it out. So they had to end up with an 8-year tour, the Royal Canadian Regiment. And so there was some disappointment, because our unit was the one that was supposed to rotate every 4 years.
Yep.
And I wanted to travel, pick fights, meet girls, all the things that a young 19-year-old, 20-year-old man wants to do. So, okay, great. Airborne Regiment it is. And I let my leadership know I want the course, and so they've sent me, and I've done well in the course. And those first jumps were just wow.
Like, wow.
Like, wow. Like, jump school is the hardest thing. 2 weeks at jump school is harder than basic training and infantry school in some cases, because the instructors are relentless. They don't lay a hand on you, but they mess with you from the moment you're up until the moment they cut you loose for dinner. After dinner, like when they cut you loose for dinner, you're on your own, and you're in bed by 7:30, and you're exhausted and sore. But they're just grinding you for mistakes. And so we would drill in the barracks every night on our own. Yeah. And so the deal is, you do 2 weeks jump school, ground stage, and then you get J stage, jump stage. And so it turned out to be November 11th, Remembrance Day in 91. And I thought, oh, wow, back to the star and my uncle, and wow. I'm starting to pay attention to these things. And at the end of every jump, the first jump, I'm just so excited, and I land like a bag of laundry. Right? And I'm just, wow, I could really screw this up. Because if you get injured, you go back to your unit, and unless you come back in the next 90 days, you start back at zero. Like, I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to drill every single night, and I'm going to get this right. And again, performative. Yeah. Beginning, middle, end. This is what success looks like. This is what it doesn't look like. And third jump day was a night jump on day 1, and which is fine. It's actually easier because you're not anticipating everything so much maybe. And but this one guy comes off with a broken ankle, and he's limping pretty bad. And like, hey, you okay? Reserve guy. To get a reserve on a jump course is in itself a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
We had some medics on the jump course. They iced him up, taped him up. He's I'm not going home. I'll never come back. He jumped the very next day, all 3 jumps with that broken ankle, and then said at the end of that 6 jumps, said not okay when they read off the nominal, like when they read off the list, because we'd have injuries, right? So I thought, that guy's icing up his broken ankle so he can jump. I'm going to be just fine. Just pay attention, you know. And so as soon as we all graduated, they said, okay, you're all eligible for the regiment. If this is what you want, sign here. I said, how fast can I sign my name? Go back to my parent unit. They said, you're on your way. And that was 1992, and got to the Airborne Regiment 92, went right back to the, FNG, fucking new guy business. But I had a buddy who was there a year ahead of me, and he introduced me to, so Mike, my buddy, introduced me to Paul. Me and Mike, Paul, we're all still friends today, like 92. Paul has this thing, if I think about you, I call you. He doesn't text, he just calls. So every time I think of him, now I got to call him today.
That's cool.
But so Paul introduces me to everybody on the base. I got to sign in on all these different places, get all my jump stuff and all these things. So to get that airborne smock and that maroon beret, I wanted that ever since I was like, this big.
Do you, when you get it, do you sit with it, or are you just on to the next thing? Like, just do you appreciate what it is, or you just like?
I sat with it. It was like a custodian of this, the manner of men who wear the maroon beret by General Montgomery, World War II, and the paratroopers that jumped into certain death for the most part on D-Day. And it just hit me because we got, all through military training, you get all this regimental history. And so for me anyways, it was like, wow, look what you have done. And that became the last time I had a goal for a very long time. I was so goal driven, and I got there, and then when it ended, the regiment, so between our regiment being disbanded, there's a Somalia deployment. We leave that. So I wanted to deploy. It's like playing hockey, but never get to play.
Yeah.
How long? So we deployed to Somalia. Normally tours you ramp up for 6 months to a year. We caught wind, we were going to go. And then all of a sudden we were really going. So I think at best we had 2.5, 3 months, but we went without a redeployment date. So that builds uncertainty. We don't know when we're coming home, and we left on December 18. So I was married at the time. We didn't have a lot of sunscreen, and the sunscreen we had was expired. So that's long sleeves by default. We didn't have maps. We literally went to Map Town in Ottawa and bought road maps of Somalia because we didn't deploy with maps.
Crazy.
Why? Don't know. We're the best unit in the country at the time, the Canadian Airborne Regiment, the most special elite. It's in the Special Forces book, which I read in the school library. It's like, I'm going to be that guy. And now I am that guy. And we have Vietnam-era Manpack radios. So they're 25 pounds plus another 5-pound battery. And because of the heat, they don't last long. And so you got no maps. You're on a patrol. You get in trouble. Who are you calling for help? And where are you going to tell them you are? You got no maps. So we had to make them. I literally walked beside the platoon commander and said, okay, left, okay, recognizable feature, okay. And they found out I like to draw. And I would kill time drawing. That was sort of my downtime when I'd draw. So just all this uncertainty, which again, I didn't know until later that, holy crap.
What allowed you to get there? To be like, to operate, to be in that group, like the highest level in Canada? What does it take to get there? What did it take to get there? Your mindset? Was it like determination? Was it just like flat out will? Like, what was it that got you there?
It was all of it.
Yeah.
Meaning is the big one. Like, what does it mean to be a paratrooper? Some people, it's like I've learned that people join the military for a lot of reasons, and none of them are wrong. It's employment. It's one of the largest employers certainly for the Maritimes at those days. For some, it's adventure, and there was a big part of that adventure in me. But I got beat up a lot, like a lot. And I hate, even today, even as I imagine that, it's not fun. And I just don't want to be that vulnerable again. So it was a lifeline. If I could be a paratrooper, you will not wreck my day. And if you are going to pay for it one way or another. And I was more than willing to gamble with my, like as a kid, I'll shoot my mouth off and get pounded. Yeah. But in the barracks, you know, like you get to the airborne regiment and your name is FNG. If I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. FNG means fucking new guy. That's all they call you. Just, hey, FNG, go get this, do this. Lots of jokes. And it'll be our turn in a year, right? But you do make relationships, and I already had a couple. It was fine. And we have an initiation, and it's fine. It's not a hazing, it's initiation. There's a very big difference. I wanted our initiation. It was this manhood. Like in Jewish culture, you have a bat mitzvah for girls and bar mitzvah for boys. What is it for us, for those who aren't Jewish? Yeah. But you become a paratrooper, you go to the regiment. Today it would be the Canadian Special Operations Regiment or JTF2. You are part of a very, very small fraternity. And all of a sudden, so the FNG doesn't bother me. I've been dealing with bigger bullies than them before I even got there. But I remember this guy, Chris, we would eventually become friends and have a laugh in Africa together. And so we're in Somalia. We're on this mountaintop, desert mountain. It's a big old sand hill. We're looking down on a bridge. On the bridge, Somalis are holding up people, and they're just they're using the bridge as a chokehold. And give it what you want, or we're gonna wreck your day. But we were just a team of 8, and our job is to sneak and peek, observe and report. So we're there for 48 hours, and we head back. And so, but that first night, 4 guys go down, and the 4 of us just kind of keep home base safe. And so Chris and I are sitting there, and he's like, remember that day in the shacks? I know what day you're talking about. He goes, you really, really messed me up. I saw, in my mind, like, oh, thank goodness. He's known to be a fighter, and he'll fight anything. And I knew that about him. And so he had challenged me in the hallway. Must be nice to have the afternoon off, like something an FNG shouldn't have. I had this pass. And I said, yeah, it is. Like, before I even thought about it, it was out of my mouth. And he goes, what did you just say to me? He walks down the hall, and I go into my room, into my barracks. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad. And I'm now standing on a chair. I'm putting my barrack box up top, and he's like, his head is in my stomach, and I'm like, I'm going to die. This 2-year corporal is going to destroy me. I'm going to be laying in a pool of my own blood. But so you ask, what does it take? You have to be willing to want it so bad that life without it doesn't make sense. Like it's not just identity. Yeah. And I remember saying to him, tell you what, Chris, seems like we're going to get in a fight. And he's like, yeah. I said, okay. Before you have a go, consider this. What if I win? We're both going to take a lump, but what if I win? What's it going to look like to you and the boys down the hallway knowing an FNG kicked your ass? You prepared for that? Because you don't know me. On the outside, that's me, right? On the inside, please buy this story. Please buy this story.
Let me talk my way.
And so here we are in Africa. He's like, oh man, that really... And I didn't tell him, I didn't give him the secret. I just said, okay. But that's... that was my fake it till you make it moment. It's just like, you are not going to stand in my way of being in this unit. Yeah. So, and that's the units on my, that's 2 Commando. And that goes all the way back to World War II, the lineage. So just, that's how much it meant to me. And I wanted you, like if I shook your hand, summer dress, sleeves are rolled up. Yeah. I want you to know when I shake your hand, that's my unit. And you don't mess with me or my brothers. It was there very, very intentionally.
To be at that level, to be like that dedicated to something, it's very rare, isn't it? Like it's like a, and that's
I
why,
think so.
and that's why there's like, you know, the best of the best are in that spot. Like,
Yeah.
because that gear is very,
And there's more gears after that.
Yeah.
Because I'm in 2 Commando and in 6 Platoon, and there's guys who are in Pathfinder Platoon, which is just another level, whole other level. And these guys train with the U.S. And then after that, you get into Ranger School, and Canadians would send down our paratroopers to U.S. Army Ranger School,
Yeah.
and then Special Forces tabs, and they would come back, and that was how the Canadian Forces did it back then. Is like, let's get all of our guys trained up with U.S.
Yeah.
So we're speaking the same language, but some of these same skills, and we bring that knowledge back to our unit. That was our way of being good.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't, and didn't matter if it was German Special Forces or U.S. or whatever. Like, guys would go all over the place, and so. And I was pretty happy with where I was, and my life was already messed up now. I was married, and that was getting weird, and there was a kid, and her name was Bronte, and that would ultimately end up in an absolute disaster. And like I said, I stopped having goals, and when the Airborne Regiment got disbanded in 1995, I was completely lost. My contract was up, and I thought I'd be in there for life. I thought it was 13 years more in a pension,
yeah.
or do you want to take your chances on Civvy Street?
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to go Civvy Street.
I have this sense that like when you're in it that deep and that like in the military piece, to actually go civvy, it seems like just a drastic change from just being controlled environment, high performance, bunch of animals, to then like turn it all off and then figure it out by yourself.
Yeah. Today you get out and there's all sorts of resources.
Yeah.
There was in the military, it's called the BPSO, Base Personnel Officer. It's like HR. It helped us make a resume and apply for jobs. I left the Army with a really good resume and $16,000 return of contributions, which I was using to get by. I started working at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So to all the servers out there, I know what it's like. I worked for 3 months. I learned that not everybody wants a comedian at lunch.
Where are we working?
Edmonton.
Okay.
Carol's Cafe in Edmonton. And she was amazing. She was like a sister. And I hadn't found a job yet. And I was having lunch there, and some guy came in. And I was as straight as you can get, right? And this guy come in with, he had an earring. And he had a resume. I was like, what's that guy? Oh, we're looking for a server. He can't work at my restaurant. And I said, I came back the next day with a resume. She goes, are you for real? I said, well, until I find a job,
Yeah.
I'll work for you. So that's how I got the job. Because it's some guy with an earring.
The shift though, right? From like
Insane.
like wild, right? From
Wild. Because you go from this high performance,
Like-
everyone's got your back.
yeah.
Like, everyone's got your back.
Yeah.
And you got theirs, and you will bleed for each other.
Yeah.
You will fight each other. You will. And then you go into civvy world, and it's every man for himself almost. It was really, really hard. That was a hard landing. That was a bounce. I bounced.
And not like you didn't handle it great. It was just like
Didn't handle great at all. I went into sales, started selling photocopiers. A friend of mine was in Edmonton, Calgary, and he said, "Oh, you should get a job at Canon." Doing what? He said, selling fax machines. Okay. What's the cat? Oh, it's fun. You get paid for what you sell. Like in the infantry, I'm a corporal. I get paid 35 grand whether I dig a hole or not, and somebody else gets paid more because of this rank. And I was like, how's that work again? And I'd read a few books on sales, and How to Win Friends and Influence People was one of them. It's like, okay, so I just got to sell a fax machine and I can make $500? Yeah. Okay. So I went to this, I phoned up the guy. Eric told me to call you. His name's Tim. Come in for an interview. I had one suit, which I'd bought in Africa on leave, which was popular there. A bit dated here. But again, resourcefulness. Max resourcefulness. I'm fresh out of the Army. So they paint the picture. It's not a good one, which I'm glad they painted it like that because, you're going to make X number of cold calls, like walking into a building. You're going to make X number of calls a day. You get told no a lot, probably for a couple months before you start, And I'm like, okay. He goes, how are you going to handle that? I said, well, I just kind of painted my history of being told no a lot and this and this and this and told I'm not, all these experiences. And I said, and I'm divorced and I got told no a lot in that marriage. I think I'm going to be okay. I mean, what are you going to say to me that I haven't already heard? And he just extended his hand and said, welcome, you got your job. And I sold photocopiers for the next 3 years.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's where I learned selling was dating.
You got good at it?
No. No. Photocopiers is gross. No one wants to buy a
Sounds
copy.
horrible,
You ever buy one?
No, fuck.
No one wants to.
No.
It's low man on the totem pole.
Yep.
Poor, there was reception and like an office manager. It was usually a lady. And they hated it.
Yeah.
You know, the guy's like, go get us a new copier, Janice. Janice like, oh, she's got to entertain all these guys in $1,000 suits in my Kenya suit for $50. But I didn't, it would be the beginning of a beautiful career. Like it really was helpful because, again, back to reps.
Yeah.
Lots of rejection. And it was just a matter of time before you get a yes. And there was a if this, then that. And I could follow a process, and the sales process made sense. It was just a matter, and I talked to the other guys in the bullpen. And I met a lady, moved to Calgary a year and a half later, and I came to Calgary in 97, been here ever since. And it was my friend Eric's like, hey, I'm at Toshiba now. You should interview down here. And my girlfriend had said, either you move or I move. And I said, well, I'm out of the Army. I got no family, and you got family, so I'll move. So that's my reason for coming to Calgary. But Eric also lived here too, and there was a vibe in Calgary that I just couldn't put my finger on. I said, this place is wild. Like wow, this is amazing. Calgary was different than Edmonton. I loved Edmonton, but Calgary just flipped my lid. So I was like, yeah, I'll move. Worked at Toshiba, same thing, downtown territory, lots of no's. And I thought I got a verbal on a $20,000 photocopier. I was like, yeah, put it on the board.
I'm here.
And 2 days later, the deal went south, and I was mad. I was embarrassed. I felt like a complete tool. Rookie mistake, putting numbers on the board without a signature, without a check. And this guy has a picture of rugby on his desk. And I said, you play rugby? He says, yeah. I said, oh, yeah. He goes, that's me in university. I said, okay. It's spring, 98. And I said, who do you play for? Oh, we were the Calgary Rams. I said, I just moved to Calgary. He goes, yeah. And I've joined the Calgary Rams rugby club ever since. I went to practice, turned out it was like 6 blocks from my house. And that's how I picked the Rams, because someone cut me loose on a photocopier deal. I didn't research clubs or anything. And that was something else, that first year.
Did you know right away you wanted to get back into sport?
I never left it, because even in the Army I played rugby.
Oh, you did?
Played rugby against the 82nd Airborne.
Oh, okay.
And then had a naked beer keg toss to figure out who really won.
Oh, so it's been there the whole time.
Always been there. You deploy, we even brought a rugby ball to Africa, right? We played a game of sevens in the mud. And yeah, I remember one of our very first games, it was our first game of the year. We were down to Lethbridge, and Lethbridge has got a lot of Pacific Islanders. There's this Samoan, T is his name. He looked like Mr. T, just this big brute of a man. And the first half, I'm just watching the Lethbridge team give T the ball every time there's a penalty, and he would just train wreck everybody. And I was like, okay. So I get on the field and penalty against the Rams. And I said, they're going to give him the ball. I know it. So, of course, they did. I met him halfway, and then there's this ruck for the ball, and the game continues. But as I get up, he's holding on to me. So I just backhand him, and the grip breaks. But he comes up swinging. So that's my first game, and it's a fight. And back again, when people push me back then, I always had to take things to a new level because I hated being bullied. So the game is over. Me and T are best friends, by the way. Like, this guy's great. The referee's thankful we had a fight because it was 30,000 degrees out, and he's wanting water. And you guys okay? Yeah, okay. Have a drink of water. Let's get this game going. Let's get it over. But after the game, they put all the rookies in the middle. And I'm like, why am I a rookie? Well, you're new to the Rams. I'm not a rookie in rugby. You're new to the Rams. Get in the middle. So Lethbridge and the Rams, they have this sister club relationship. And they shake up their beer and they spray us while we have to undress and run around the field. Again, an initiation. I'm fine. All the showers in the military are group showers for the most part. So like I could care less. But I'm like, if you're going to have a go at me, I'm going to make sure you're always going to second guess, kind of like Chris in the barracks. You're going to second guess that next time you want to have a go at me. So I sprint, I pick up all the flags around and I get back first before everybody. I'm almost going to puke. And I stayed naked. I just stayed naked for the next hour and a half. I was going to make it more uncomfortable for them than me. So my friends who know me then, who know me now, like, who are you? Like,
where'd he go?
Where's that guy? That guy it's like Frank the Tank. He's still around, but he doesn't need to be around anymore. But sport saved my life for lots of reasons. I went through another divorce. That was a second divorce, and it was hard. It was really hard.
Just like super high functioning in one regard.
Very high functioning in this regard, yeah.
And then just like
train wreck.
Just a different gear. Like just couldn't figure it out. Not interested. Didn't have the capacity. Whatever the thing was, you just couldn't get there.
I hated sales. I hated photocopiers because no one gave a shit. It's just a photocopy. They didn't care.
Horrible.
But you got to make sales calls. Now I look back and I think, great, I can call anybody. And I figured it out. But then I went to law enforcement equipment sales. Did that for 2 years, and which was cool because I was kind of talking to my people. Yeah. And that was pretty easy. But I was also playing rugby for Calgary now. In Calgary, 2 practices, sometimes 3 in a game. So how do I manipulate my sales story, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and still hold a seat on this Mavs team that I don't actually get to play for? I'm a bit of a flesh pylon for the first year, and I get 2 minutes of injury time in the second year, but I'm still on team. And for me, it's like the airborne again. Like, I can play for this rep team. Yeah. Dialed it. So my professional life is gross and upside down. The law enforcement equipment sales was good, but they wanted me to travel a lot. So he calls me up and says, look, we're going to cut you. I said, okay. I just started dating my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And I was like, first time I was fired in my life. I was like, well, everybody gets fired. And she lent me $1,000 to pay my rent, and I felt lower than dirt. And because my first divorce is over, I retain the house, but I need roommates, plus my income to pay the mortgage. So I'm like, oh, I got to ask her for it. I didn't even ask, she just volunteered it. That job is replaced by gym memberships, Fountain Park Health Club downtown ConocoPhillips Square. And so I got, 3 years of photocopiers. Now I got 2 years of law enforcement equipment. This sucks. Law enforcement is fun, but I don't want to travel. Now this job is gym memberships. Well, that's a 15-minute sales cycle. Law enforcement could be 2 years. Edmonton Ammunition, I helped them buy new ammunition, but it took a while. And now I'm selling gym memberships. Now I've always been in a gym, so that's fun. But they'd done a reno in my second year, pretty close to $1 million reno, and they wanted sales to, of course, pick up. And I just, again, I wasn't into wham bam, thank you, ma'am, kind of selling, and so I just couldn't do it. It just felt so forced. Like this person doesn't want to work out here; they want to work out at their gym near their home. And I learned that you're either going to work out at work in the day, but if circumstances are different, you want to work out on your way to home or near home or at home. So I couldn't make their new numbers. So now I got fired again. And my girlfriend, Danita, she's making lunch Sunday night, and I still haven't told her. And she's like, what do you want in your lunch for tomorrow? I was like, I haven't told you I got fired. So I come clean on that. She borrows money from her mom, and they help me pay my mortgage. I get a job quite quickly, but now I've been fired once. Yeah. Everybody gets fired twice.
Pattern.
End up selling. I land on my feet, as I always do, selling mascots. Glenn Street characters, one of the first mascot. Interesting dude. Yeah. He was the first one. There's him and Glenn and another dude. They were the first characters for Harvey the Hound. They'd alternate. And Glenn turned it into a business. So now I'm selling mascots. Everyone wants to buy a mascot. Compared to a photocopier, like calling people on a Friday, athletic director's office. Hey, I'm here about your mascot. You guys want to move forward? Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome. But the dollar went from like super crazy to par. So we sold in US dollars. So now I had to push my price up to compensate for the loss in US exchange, because now we were at par. Well, that was hard. So now I have 4 different sales experiences, learned a ton.
Yep.
2 years in, no expectation, but I'd always coached rugby. And I ended up at Edge School. The new principal said, if you could ever be anything, what would you want to be? I said, I would want to be a coach. I thought he meant athletics, and so did I. So I ended up being the strength and conditioning coach, completely unqualified, but I had a desire. I'll figure it out.
Yep.
And they had a relationship with Rich Hesketh through Matt Brown down at the Flames. So Rich came up and coached me on how to do this. And I was just looking at his notes today, in fact, because I saved them.
Yep.
Because I coached my daughter in her high school. And then they put me on 2 weekend AFLCA and a CanFit Pro. I never did take the tests, and they didn't care because I had test anxiety. I was not smart, remember? Academics said I'm not smart. And that was a great ride, and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven until 2009 when the economy tanked and lost my job.
Like all through these sales gigs, broken relationships, you still got sport. You like a happy dude? Where's your
outside? Yeah. Inside, no. That when Ed School terminated me, and okay, there you go again, right? It's not a termination. We're on 1-year contracts,
right?
Private school, but they said we're not going to renew your contract. I heard you're not enough.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about you. If we wanted you, we'd keep you. We have the power to. We don't have a union. We don't have to explain ourselves. Even the parents love you, the kids love you, but we don't want you. That's what I'm hearing. And it turned into a really, really dark depression, which I didn't know how bad it was because I didn't know how to ask for help. And it was real dark. And that was 2009. Just about almost a year later, just over a year later, I've been unemployed for a year. I had 52 weeks of EI because I'd never used it. But I felt like a piece of garbage.
Still playing rugby or no?
Still playing rugby, the only thing that saved my life. And my wife, now we have 2 kids. So Danita is my wife now.
I think you had things you could hang on to that could kind of like...
Athletics, but I didn't know how to make money out of coaching. I thought Edge was going to be it. And I loved athletics, but I didn't know how to make money at it. Rugby's a fringe sport, didn't know how to make money at it. And I tried personal training and didn't know how to make money at it. So here I am. And it's August 2009, August 2010, my wife says, we got to talk. She puts a piece of paper face down on the kitchen table. I'm thinking divorce. And I just put our daughter to bed. And she's 2, and I remember, so I put her to bed. My wife said, we got to talk. I flip it, and it's all of our expenses. She goes, if you don't have a job in the next 2-3 months, we're bankrupt before Christmas. And everything inside of me, outwardly, I put on this big brave face and I'll get shit done. Inside, completely unraveled. And then I got a job at this, I went to every interview you could throw at me. Cal Tire, Spence Diamonds. Can't work at Spence Diamonds because I can't not play rugby. It's the only thing saving my life right now. Is this a Saturday, Sunday job? Yes, it is. Can't be here. Sorry. I got boat races and a rugby game to play. Cal Tire wanted me to be in the pit, and I changed an oil. Everybody works there. They loved my resume. I thought, I can't do Cal Tire. The infantry was dirty, and I never want to be that dirty again. And I just started playing video games and mail it in. And I sent out I loved people. I've always loved people. Bullies, right? I love people. People are so interesting to me. I could sit here and talk to you for hours. And I got a call, hey, how'd you like to be a business coach? Sounds interesting. So I'd said I was a business coach on my resume. I didn't know it was a real term. I didn't know it was a real industry. I thought that was my way to, I'd tried so many places. I went to Big Rock because I had an in, but I didn't have a degree. And I said, what do you need a degree for? And the general manager of Big Rock at the time, he said, well, a degree tells us you know how to commit to something. Okay, how's the Army? 7 years in the military. Will that work? How about this sporting career? Rugby, playing for Calgary. I played for a 2nd, 3rd division team. I got selected over first division and played for Calgary. No, you got to have a degree. It's our policy. And I just went back to grade high school, right? Like, your systems are stupid.
Yes.
They make no sense. So, but it also just chinked another piece off me. This phone rings out of the blue. How'd you like to be a business coach? I thought, am I being pranked? But it was real. It was a company called Action Coach here in Calgary. They wanted to be a business coach. I had to pay $75,000 for a license. I had no money for hot dogs at the Flames game, let alone 75 grand for a license. I said, is there another way? And he said, well, you could do business development. And I have all these different sales experiences.
Yep.
So I can do that. And I thought, click, I don't know if I can do this. Because I hated sales. And I didn't know how to sell air. Like coaching, like if you buy a photocopy, you get a photocopy.
Yeah.
You buy a gym membership, you get a gym membership. You buy a mascot, you buy a gun, bullets. How do I sell coaching? I could sell athletic coaching, but how do I sell business coaching? I know squat about business.
Yep.
So that sucked until it didn't. It took a while. I got mentored really, really well. They had 4 other coaches in the firm, and it just kind of clicked one day on the selling side of it. And I trusted them, like I trust my gear, trust my jump harness. I trust my equipment. I trust the people. I trust the system and the process. Okay, now I can sell this. And I was offered, hey, we think you're kind of good at this. How'd you like to get certified? So I was at 75 grand. He said, well, we'll pay for the license. Okay. So I got certified. That was month 8 in. I left a year later, had to pay my education back. So I had to buy my clients is what ultimately had to happen. And remove Action Coach from any existence on my LinkedIn. So it's still on my education and my work experience. But I even got a cease and desist out of Vegas. But my friend's a lawyer, and he said they'd have to move here to make this. So I was like, okay. Again, like Chris, back to Chris in the locker room, right? Yeah. Action Coach Vegas. Okay. All right. There's 57,000 businesses in Calgary, and you're worried about me? Got it. And so went on my own, and that was September 12. And it started off like spreadsheets and systems and processes. It made sense to me. Yeah. But I started seeing bullies again. Sometimes it's a client, sometimes it's a staff member, sometimes it's a vendor, sometimes it's the government, sometimes it's the owner. But there was this one moment where this guy, he's got to increase his prices, and so does this other lady. She owns a cleaning company, and he owns an electrician service, renovation and service. And the data was clear. You got to raise your prices. You're not competitive anymore, and you're a master electrician, and you're using all green product. And I started noticing all these patterns. This is a mental game. This is the same reason John couldn't go up the mock tower and jump out. This was a mental barrier, not a system barrier. This is the same reason why Aaron, like in the regiment, we had to walk in 10K to get to our objective, and if we got caught, we were going to get worked over. And he was just like, this guy makes me look anorexic. He's just this big burly, and he's like, oh yeah. I said, dude, we just got to walk through the trees. We're not going to walk through open country and get caught. We're going to sneak and peek. We're not going to hide. And so it was this mental barrier. And I phoned Matt Brown, and I said, hey, I think there's something to sports psych and business, what sports science knows, what business does. How do I be a sports psychologist in 5 books or less? Because time was ticking, and I wasn't making enough money. So that's when I started using sports science to business, and I started finding wins there. And that was, and there was a book, The Brain That Changes Itself, learned about neuroplasticity, and I got diagnosed at 12 with ADHD, and again at 40 with ADHD, and now I'm 49. No, I'm 44 at the time, but I was like, I can figure this out. ADHD is not a bad thing anymore, and I am smart. And I flipped to audiobooks, and I stopped reading books, and I went to audiobooks, and that's 12 years ago.
Just like the story's uncomfortable to hear because it feels like there's like this constant struggle to it.
There is.
And that's a steady, like, that's not a, like,
Yeah.
it's just always been there.
17 years old, my friend in class says, hey, my boyfriend just met his dad. No way. I don't know my dad. You should know. I should know. You should know. I should know. Hey, Mom, can I meet my dad? So she introduced me to my dad. His name's John Grant. But when I met him for the first time, I was like, wow, this is real weird. Like, this is my real dad. It was amazing. 3 sisters, a brother, his wife, Mabel, Williams Lake. Dinner every Wednesday night. I wanted to go to grad with my sister because I didn't want to go with my girlfriend. I broke up with her and I said, hey, Rose, will you go to grad with me? And she says, no, I got a boyfriend. Okay. So one of her girlfriends was a friend of mine back in grade 6. Tracy, I went to grad with Tracy, friends, and it was great. So my wife says, Christmas 17, hey, so we've been on our own. We've been running our business for 5 years. And she says, hey, Christmas ancestry DNA. I said, oh, cool. I don't know a lot about my Grant family, and I just so want to belong. She tested it too. She's known about her father. She found out she was adopted at 12. And so we're both adopted at the same age. I'm 5 years older than my wife. But so we both kind of, this could be fun.
Yep.
I get the results 3 months later. Dad's not your dad. Like, what? There's a daughter with my first marriage. I thought, there was a rumor. I wonder if it's true. I reached out to her through Facebook Messenger, got reconnected, beautiful conversation. Took 3 months for her to say, okay, you know what, let's do this paternity thing, and found out not my daughter. So my entire identity unraveled. My dad's not my dad. And my dad, who is my dad, has just died up in Innisfail. He was in my backyard for the last 20 years of my life. When my sister from the Grant family had died, I was 27. I'd gone back to Williams Lake for the funeral. My aunt was in the room, and my 2 aunts were in the room, and one elbows the other one and says, if that's not Don Brecknock's son, I don't know who is. I look exactly like him, exactly. And over the next 2 years, my life just completely unraveled. I had no idea who I was. I was trying to maintain a coaching practice, trying to be a good dad. ADHD was telling me I'm this and that, and all these teacher comments from report cards started showing up in my dreams. And if I didn't have a success with a client, it had to be my fault. It had to be. They weren't getting results, which was interesting. If they got results, it was all them. But if they didn't get results, it was all me. And I just took it, and it was just the death of 1,000 cuts. 2 years later, I've now met I've met my other siblings, Heather and Chris and Kevin, and I got one more out there named Todd. Don't know, never met him yet. Hope to one day. But I have a cousin in Hong Kong, and he says, hey, could you get us some poppies for Remembrance Day? Sure, why not? Easy. Call up Legion Command, get some. When I pick him up, Legion, this guy, I see this name on this name tag, and it's, I said, Sean Wood. Like, I had a platoon commander in Somalia named Cliff Reeves. You two know each other? He goes, yeah. Well, that turned into coffee. An hour later, he goes, how would you like to talk to our team at the OSI clinic? And team is psychologist, and OSI is operational stress injury. So that was late 19. I'm sitting in front of the clinic director and another psychologist, and they're asking me all these questions. 4 hours later, I'm a mess. Yeah. And I think it's just the proximity to Remembrance Day. But I've just completely unraveled. It takes me an hour to leave the parking lot, just wrecked. All these questions. I've got 13 friends who've died overseas. When I was in Somalia, I was involved in 3 specific events that I hate myself for these things happening at the time. And it was devastating. I get this 17-page report, post-traumatic stress, major depressive disorder, ADHD. That was the only funny part of it, because I was like, I already know. And it was 2 years of very intense therapy. And but I had to rebuild my life again. I had to rebuild my life completely from the ground up, because I didn't know who I was. I wasn't a paratrooper. I wasn't a Fowler. I'm not a Lampert. I'm not a Grant. Who the hell am I? And the Brecknock's the only one, like, they're a beautiful family, but it was just, I had no idea who I was. And the armor was so thick that it took Beth, my first psychologist, took her like 6 months to crack open.
Mm.
And she said, and I'd mentioned these spankings growing up as a kid. She goes, what are these spankings about? I don't know, spankings. You ever been spanked before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who hasn't?
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
If you were born in the 80s, you got spanked.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I don't know. So I'd do something. My mom would say, go pick your stick. She'd go, what? I'd go pick my stick. I'd walk out to the wood pile, pick a stick. Tell me about that. Oh, it's not too big. That hurts. If it's too little, that stings. So it's got to be the right, can't break, or she gets mad. How long do these last? Well, I don't know, until she gets tired. And I was just so indifferent to the experience.
Hmm.
I was 10 years old. My mom thought I stole money out of her wallet, which was true often, but not that day. It was $1. Go get your allowance. It's in my purse. Great. Chris, $1. Oh, you got another one. Two $1. Chocolate bars were 25 cents a dollar. Mm-hmm. So and then when they went to 30 cents, I was like, inflation. I thought,
it's right here.
But on this day, I was in our kitchen. She challenged me for stealing. I'd had stolen before, and I had green hands to show for it. She put a dye on the money, and it stained. So I learned my lesson. I'd never stolen from her since. But that day, she wanted to beat the truth out of me, and she did. And the truth was I didn't steal anything, but she just didn't believe it. It was the truth, but that beating lasted a long time. And that's when I learned that you can't hurt me anymore. Like, that was 10. I got beat on until I was 13, and I defended myself once, and then the beating flipped to psychological after that. But yeah, this woman who was my hero and taught me all these things. So it's such a weird paradox. The woman I look up to is also the woman, it's your source of love and safety, is also your same source of fear and abuse. And you end up with disorganized attachment. So if you're familiar with attachment theory, there's secure attachment. You and your partner can have a fight, no big deal. You fracture your pair, no big deal. Yeah. We carry on. Business or home. You have anxious attachment, a lot of worry. Oh, did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? Do you still love me? And then you have this avoidant attachment where we retreat to self-soothe, and then when we're ready, we come back. Disorganized attachment is every time you give me a cookie, then the beating's going to come. A client gave me positive feedback. When's the beating coming? I did a keynote, killed it. I ghosted my client because I thought, now he's going to fire me. Every time I did something good and I got feedback, positive feedback became the death because it meant that I was no longer useful. So as long as you were struggling, I was useful, whether I was coaching sport, business, or otherwise. Yeah. So I had to learn all about that. I had to rewire my brain to a compliment is a compliment, that there's just no backhand, there's no ill will behind it.
Like all of that. Do you even go through all that? Is it the amount of energy it takes to actually come out on the other side of it? It's such a, there's so much to unpack there. Like, I don't know how long it took, and you're probably still working on it, but it's like,
Well, we're never complete. I've learned we are who we are based on our experiences, partly genetics, our environment, our belief systems, which, by the way, belief system, BS, belief systems aren't always facts, right? So it required a big reexamination. I had to rebuild my identity. Because I was audiobooking already and I'd read a lot of these books, it was good and bad because I learned how to hyper-rationalize, over-intellectualize my pain. And only until recently, psychedelic experience, if we want to talk more about it, but I didn't know how to understand pain. Physically, I can feel whether you strike me, hit me, whatever, tackle me, I feel the pressure and the sensation, but any sensation of pain is gone within less than a second. That strike of the stick, the punch in the face, the whatever, the tackle, the cheap shot, the whatever, or the verbal twitch. But I didn't know how to associate with an actual feeling, so all my feelings were suppressed. And suppress anything, whether it's bad food, bad sushi, it's coming back, but you suppress emotion.
Yeah.
And there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score. It shows up in our skin, in our health, in other ways. Autoimmune diseases, more and more research shows, it's a suppression of pain and trauma, and that's especially if it's unprocessed. And ADHD, by the way, it was never safe. So I always had to keep moving. I always had to find a thing. It was never safe to just sit still and read or color or draw or anything. It was never safe. I was only safe in the forest. And so part of that comeback a year later after the diagnosis, I went for a run, kind of like Forrest Gump. I got pissed off about something, and I decided to go for a run. And then that was 20. So I'm on the back half now of these 2 years of very intense therapy at the OSI.
And still working?
Still working.
Like trying to keep it together?
Keeping it together.
Isn't it weird though? Maybe this is wrong, but like you're coaching, helping people.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're helping them with, but like life, business,
Real
things,
stuff,
all the
real
things.
challenges. Yeah.
So you're doing that. And then right behind that, you're like rebuilding yourself, not in a good spot.
COVID was the best thing to happen for me because instead of driving to clients on a regular, I could compartmentalize. And that's one thing I give the credit to the military is you learn how to compartmentalize, lock it up. So I got real good at locking it up. And I could hold my act together for, a call.
Yeah.
And COVID was disruptive for everybody. So I could skate through
Yeah, everybody was kind of...
Yeah, no one saw me going through my crazy stuff. It's not crazy. The experiences are crazy, but I'm not crazy. So everyone is dealing with their own issues and challenges and frustrations. So 6-7 months in, I started telling clients, this is the month I'm going to tell all my clients every time I'd have a session. I'd say, hey, by the way, I said, I'm starting to talk about this more and more out loud, and I just don't want you to hear it from the rumor mill.
Yeah.
And this one client, Pat, he goes, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, pretty sure. He goes, am I okay? I said, Pat, you're fine. Am I safe? Yes, Pat, you're safe. Okay, cool. I don't work with people who haven't been through shit. Pass the salt because we were at lunch. It's probably sushi, actually.
It's a common theme here.
Pat and I either had bacon and eggs or we went for sushi or whatever if we had lunch. And so all my clients knew because I just didn't want them to hear through the grapevine.
Yeah.
Because I was so afraid that if they found out, they were going to drop me, but none of them did. None of my clients. They just said, how you doing?
Yeah.
I said, well, working on it.
Daily work?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. It became a mission.
Yeah.
Upside, performative, how do I win PTSD therapy?
Yeah.
Downside, continuously over-intellectualizing. So somebody told me I can't read. I decided I'm going to audiobook, joke's on you. I've read some audiobooks, some books 5-6 times. So I know them really intimately. And Trevor Moawad is a sports psychologist. He's passed away since. But he said, neutral thinking. Like when someone's going through really shitty stuff, they don't want to be told to be positive.
Yeah.
Really? I'm going through this diagnosis. You're telling me to be positive. We got this prime minister. We got this president. We got this economy. You're telling me to be positive? Like, how do you feel if you're having the worst day ever in some...
Just be positive.
How do you feel?
Yeah, it's like, disrespected or just like not understood, like
disvalidated, like you're the crazy you're going through, the frustration, the tornado you're going through is not real. Just be positive. But I knew negative wasn't good either.
Yeah.
And Trevor Moawad said it's neutral thinking. Neutral thinking is truth-based thinking. The past is real, but what happens next is the only thing you focus on. The past is not predictor of the future if behavior changes. So I over-indexed on more reading, but that was an insecurity because I'm told I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I over-indexed on fitness. I started running ultras at first just to kind of, but then 50 turned into another 50K, turned into another 50K, turned into an 80K, turned into 100K. And then I went for 100-mile DNF'd, which was fine, great, learned a lot. And then I went after another 50K a month later, which ended, I finished, but that was a lesson. But so I would use physical. If when people say that person's got a great mindset or that person, like they try to kind of give you this picture of the whole package. You've got physical capacity, mental, and psychological. So think physical, like the Army taught me how to just survive anything.
Yep.
As well as mental. Think of mental like an airbag.
Yep.
Right? You can put up a lot of abuse and not snap, typically. And if it snaps, it reinflates the next day after a good night's sleep and a good meal. And maybe a lot of booze, depending. Don't drink anymore. Ish. I love old fashions.
Oh yeah, that's your jam.
It's been a while. Love an old fashioned. Had an old fashioned with my daughter when she turned 18.
Oh, amazing.
But psychological capacity I knew nothing about. And psychological capacity is the stories we make up.
Yeah.
60,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are negative for me at the time. So I had to rebuild that psychological capacity. If this, then that. The past meant a beating, a this, a that.
Yeah.
If this, then that. Today, I've had to completely rebuild that whole path of thinking. And that's none of that's overnight.
Yeah.
That's an everyday job. And so I don't know if it's appropriate, but I brought you a gift.
Oh, you're pulling out tricks at the middle of this thing?
So when I was born, Vincent Lampert,
Yeah.
this is my baseball when I played baseball as a kid. And I was sitting there one day and I was thinking, Brene Brown talks about to integrate, to be whole. Integrate is to make whole. And even if you and I met a year ago, I would have said, this is the best of me. I only want Jeff to see this. But now this is Vince. So one piece of leather represents my personal life, let's say, Vince Lampert. The other piece of leather is my vocation. And all these, scrapes and scars, that's just life.
Yep.
And the red stitching, that's all the relationships in our life that keep it together. You start untethering all those relationships, all of a sudden you're on your own. The strong don't survive, they die. It's the strong communities, the strong networks, the strong connections. So This is why connection is so critical. And when we don't have connection, the journey's exponentially harder. Mm-hmm. And so I had to figure this out. So anytime I meet someone, you can decide who you are.
Amazing.
Who's in your life, all those little red stitches. And, there's a reason my logo's not on there because I'm not the hero you are. Yeah. This is your life. And the ball, the core of this ball is its integrity. It knows it's a baseball. It's used as a baseball from Little League to the majors, but you and your friends can throw the ball at the beach. A father and a son, a daughter, anybody. We can throw the ball. We can bowl with this if we go camping. We can bring it with us anywhere. Backpacking. I travel with my baseball everywhere. It always comes with me.
Just as a what?
This reminds me, life's not over. Like, it's got some very real scratches on there. Mm-hmm. It doesn't define who I am. It just tells me where I've been.
To be able to articulate that, you back this thing up to 2017, 18, 19, when you're in the thralls of it.
Yeah.
Do you let that sit with you, of the clarity you have now compared to where you were?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about psychedelics?
Yeah. Dude, I told you when we started this thing, This is your show. This has nothing to do with me.
Full disclosure, psychedelics aren't everyone's jam. I get it. Yeah. I grew up in the time when the Reagan administration is on the 6 o'clock news. Drugs are bad. Say no to drugs. It's your brain on drugs, and it's 2 eggs in the pan.
Classic. I remember that.
So classic. So, my mother had very, very huge consequences if I did drugs. If I got suspended and all these things, and it was always physical. Yeah. She was the bully in my life. She was the biggest bully of my life.
Which is just
And the thing is people always say, how do you not have a relationship with your mom? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest question I get. How do you not have a relationship with your mom? No one, not once, has ever asked me, what does your mom have to do? Mm-hmm. How poorly does she have to behave that you wouldn't want to be with her?
Yeah.
But the default question is the first one. First psychedelic experience was about a year and a half ago. It was September 30, 24. A friend of mine's a firefighter, and he said, I know someone. So we met someone, and this person it's all underground, but she knows she knows her stuff. And it's just as I hear her client list, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. And I've been paying attention, not studying, I've been paying attention. There's a TED Talk that came out 8 years ago, a British psychologist talking about the impact of magic mushrooms, psychedelics, psilocybin on depression. And I've got this major depressive disorder, apparently. So I'm like, okay. And then I see my friend again, and before and after, very different person, calmer, collected, not angry, many things. Second time, I'm like, holy crap, this is a new man. Smiling, giving compliments to referees, like,
Drinking.
what's her number?
Yeah.
Great intake. It's a mask. The delivery. So there's an intake. There's a conversation meet. And there's a delivery system through hot chocolate, and then we talk a little bit. And then I put a mask on, sleep mask, and lay on a little bed on the floor, and music, and everything's internal. And it was like, felt like the Matrix, like these black skins of just breaking through, and like every single horrible memory of my childhood just like breaking through. That doesn't own me anymore. That doesn't own me. And then, I have this experience where I meet Vikings. Well, in that ancestry DNA thing, my bloodline starts in Denmark, goes to Scotland, Ireland, Wales, England, spits over into Canada, and on my mother's side, it starts in England, dips into Germany for a quick bit, and then over to the United States. So I wake up from that. Well, I'm not asleep. I come out of that and I go, I'm a fucking Viking. Got it. And I could just feel this, like this power. Like I remember being in jump school and this guy failing on push-ups because we're all exhausted. It's not because he's weak, but I remember looking at him like your weakness makes me stronger. I'm sucking your energy out of your body, right? And 3 months later, I do it again, same person. And this time it was an absolute surrender. Like the first time I just wanted to meet myself. The second time I said, I want to revisit myself. That was my only intention. And maybe what's possible, what's probable. Nothing more than that. Same experience in terms of the delivery system and the eye mask and the music. But this time I didn't move. The first time I was moving everywhere.
Yeah.
She took notes. She's got 3 pages of notes. The second time, 0 notes. Laid still. And this voice in my head just said, will you let go of this? In the beginning, it's easy stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Then it starts getting harder. Will you let go of your career? Will you let go of your children? Will you let go of your wife? Will you let go of your future ideas? And I just kept saying yes, 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 yes. And it just said, will you let go of I love cars, always have. I have a very nice car, V8, 0 to 60 yesterday. And it was like, will you give up your car? I was like,
Just getting sensitive.
but it's my car, my kids, my wife, my ideas, my thoughts. And that final yes, I said yes. And then all of a sudden there was this, just said, welcome. And from that day forward, that was January 2nd, 25, this attachment to life around me just doesn't matter anymore. I love my wife. It said, you can have whatever you want back. So yeah, give me my wife back. I want my kids back.
Yeah.
I want these relationships back. I want my car back. But everything else was just less. And then this third journey was in a hurry. A friend of mine said, hey, I'm Mike's coming to town. And I said, oh, my friend Mark had Mark there, and then Mark after. So I go, wow, make an intro. I had no intent. I talked to Mike, and he just said, tell me about you, kind of like you. I told him. He goes, wow, that's hard. What ones bug you the most? And I couldn't answer. The thing that still bugged me the most through all this was I eat my feelings. So I got up to about 260 here. And I don't know why I'm eating my feelings. I know everything I know about sport. I know everything I know about sports psych and all these things. Why do I keep eating my feelings? And so he says, well, now the delivery system this time is MDMA, ecstasy. I'd never seen it in real life. I've heard about it, knew nothing about it. So you get one of those. We have a conversation, and of course, there's an intake, and it's very professional, and still underground. But he says, so then we just start talking, and I've always had if I go to the dentist, like triple your painkiller because I feel everything pain wise, and that's the one pain that'll send me off a rail is a dentist drill. And so I said, I don't feel anything. He goes, you're feeling. I said, trust me, I'm not feeling anything. He goes, okay, here's one more. I fell in love with myself. He does parts theory. There's a book called No Bad Parts. The author's name escapes me. We got to meet this little young boy, Vinny. I named him Little Vinny. My son's name is Hudson, and we call him Mini Vinny. He's a spitting image of me and my dad, Donald Brecknock. My daughter is Hayden. But so I met Little Vinny, and he was fun. He was playful. He was, that kid was insanely creative, loved to play outside. He didn't want to come inside. He'd ride a bike until the lights were gone, and then some. Like, how bad? Can I still ride? Is there enough moonlight? And then I met that day where I got wailed on in the kitchen, and that was the day this part of me, which I call Clanker today, he's just this bit of a gladiator fella. You will not feel. You will not feel. You will not feel. I got you. Problem is, Clanker is on hyper. As a kid, he served me well because he kept me hyper vigilant. Yeah. Threats were everywhere. He's very competitive. He's fueled by accolades. He's fueled by any ounce of love, as fleeting as it might be. He eats whatever he sees, because you got to be ready. You never skip meals. You always have snacks. Like I bet I had 5,000 calories in my glove box in my car at all times. Like, why? Mm-hmm. Like some, sure. Mm-hmm. Get stuck in an ice storm. Mm-hmm. 5,000 calories. Hoards. Never feeling enough means you better read this book not once but twice. Mm-hmm. So if anybody challenges you, you will not look like an idiot. So read it a third time, and when you're done, I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, 8 times. Trevor Moed's How to, It Takes What It Takes 5 times. How to Win Friends and Spoil People 8 times. And I can remember all these stats and numbers on the top of my head all the time. And every author, what page, Brene Brown, did she say this in this book or that book? I know, because I never want to be seen as unworthy. Mm-hmm. So this constant over-indexing on, and then feel no pain. No physical pain, but no emotional pain. I didn't know the difference between anger and disappointment. Do you know what the difference is by chance?
Nope.
Anger is a perceived injustice against you. Disappointment is an unmet expectation. Up until I learned that, I was like, I thought they were the same thing. Everything was either angry or everything was joy or happy, but most of the time everything was just numb. And so since December 19 last year, I can feel, I cry, I know why, I know that feelings are impermanent now. Like I can barf in peace, and the next day a client is puking, and the next day, and he's happy because his team's got his back. Yeah. And then the next day, the wheels fall off the bus, and he's got to do some serious backpedaling and close the loop and rehire. I can ride that emotional wave. Mm-hmm. I can feel their feelings. I don't own their feelings. They're permanent. I say, Matt, I bet we feel different in a week from now. Right now, it sucks. The suck is real. Yeah. I've got 150 hours of talk therapy, and I'm glad I'm in it. Psychedelics, Andrew Huberman talks about it now. There's multiple. There's a Netflix special, How to Change Your Mind. One episode is on psilocybin, MDMA, LSD, and the other one, the ayahuasca, I think it is. And so it's the research is showing up more and more and more. And there's a MAPS program. I don't know what that means, but it's around psychedelics as treatment. It's offered to veterans. And my psychologist said, how come you didn't go the traditional healthcare route? And I said, I trust gas station sushi more than I trust politicians and healthcare. I'm generalizing, but it's the research has always been there ever since the Nixon administration made it a Schedule I drug.
Yeah.
But people I respect, like a neuroscientist, starting to talk about it. Raul Jandile wrote Neurofitness, amazing book. He's both a neuroscientist and a neurosurgeon at Hope University. And he says psychedelics are legit. You just have to know, is it for you? And so I had this 7 years of research, just collecting in YouTube and podcasts. And so when I met my Dave and it happened, I thought, okay, the research says this, Dave is this. Like there's this Dave and there's that Dave. Mm-hmm. This Dave I would invite to my house. This Dave is unhinged. Yeah.
Way different. How do you manage all this, like building yourself up, self-knowledge, you're doing all these things, and then you have this client business right beside it? Like, how do you like,
I wish I knew.
Because it's very interesting, right? From what you're offering and how how you present yourself and who you work with and what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Is it? Do you ever feel? Sorry to jump in.
No, do please.
Is it like
I'm trying to figure this out myself.
Do you ever feel like you just black out and you become this different person and you do your thing, and you just like you sit and talk with these people. You're very engaged. You're asking. You're listening. I don't know. Like, do you black out and not remember the thing?
I black out when I'm not engaged. I was a keynote not so long ago.
Do you like that? Do you like the keynote idea?
I do and I don't.
Yeah.
It's I don't have a one box talk.
Yeah.
So
no shit.
My name gets around and get a call, and they call me because they don't want to pay for, this is not a slag to them.
I know, it's just the way.
But like Simon Sinek,
I
remember when he was 50 grand, now he's 100 grand and whatever. And this guy wrote a book, so he's 27 grand and, right? Yeah. And so we're doing an annual, but you come in and so I got 2 months head start on this talk. And I said, it's all about leadership. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to come at it from what's my observation after 15 years in my industry. How do people lead? And, what are some lessons learned, whether they're in the United States or Canada? I have clients in both countries.
Yeah.
So I get there, and I like to hang out with them. So now I've just spent the last better part of 2 months starting to collect and spin up stuff. Yeah. I pay attention. I follow them on LinkedIn, look at their website, all these different things. And arrive on the day, and they're doing a really good job, and they have all their executives there. There's 50. It's quite a large company, but they get in this really cognitive heavy conversation and feedback, and there's 14 tables, and every table's got feedback to share, one at a time. 10 minutes, I start clocking. I was supposed to be on stage for like 1:30. It's like, okay, we're not finishing before lunch. Lunch ends. It's a good lunch. That was the one thing they did really well. It's not full of sweets, and because that 2 hours later, everyone's getting the sugar rush. Mm-hmm. But I don't go on until 3, something like that. So hour and a half, 2 hours after. What I know now is in that moment when I stepped on in front of the room, I flipped into performance mode. So you will like me. Mm. If I did it today, I would say, okay, I was brought here to talk about leadership, and here we are. And I can see 2 of you, no shame, are asleep. You've literally passed out during this very cerebral, cognitive, heavy load exercise. Whatever I say will not land. So whatever I brought today, why don't we just talk about what is it like to lead while we're fatigued? And let's rethink the decisions we made in this room and start with these, this physical capacity, because all of you can go do very manly things outside in the field and do this thing because you're just physically up for it.
Yep.
And you've dealt with all the elements in the environment, cold and hot and everything else like that. So mentally you've got this big airbag to handle high pressure problems, but the psychological fatigue, like just the burden of that, just thinking hard. The brain is a 20% energy suck, just blinking and breathing. Now we add cognitive load to it, and then the brain fatigues. And we haven't really had much to eat today other than lunch, and that's not enough. And so they're gassed. Why don't we talk about when you're at work next week and your teammates are tired and you're expecting 100% out of them? Or why don't we talk about how maybe you want to switch things up because your team is fatigued and maybe it's better we do this, what could we do differently as leaders? But instead, because this is pre-last journey, I flipped into that blackout, just engage where cue the laughter. Yeah. Here's this witty comment. Here's this great drawing that I prepared because I don't use PowerPoint. I just use markers and flip charts.
Yep.
So I black out and disengage, or I disengage and then black out. I don't remember anything I said that day, and I just look in the mirror with guilt, like, why did I talk? And about a month ago, I was a guest. Maybe 3 weeks ago, I was a guest, and they had me. It was a very small, little 20-minute conversation I got to share, and it was videoed. And so 2 days later, it was live. I clicked play, and I sat back, and I go, "Good job, Vince. Wow, that was really creative. I like your answer. I was so kind and compassionate to myself." Other than my TEDx talk in 2017, I've never watched. I've never watched any of my playback. I couldn't. I was like, "You are dumb. Look at the clothes you chose. You're an idiot." Like, just horrible the mental game, right? And which is this T-shirt. Like, I don't know the owners, but it's get the fuck outside. Like, I try to get a night in the tent once a month. Days on trail. Rockwall Trail, these beautiful, pristine places. Take my iPhone, take photos, bring a little tripod to catch the Milky Way.
Yep.
Nature's a beautiful piece of medicine. Nature, movement, reflection. And now that I can feel, it's a whole new world. Like, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I don't feel dumb anymore. Yeah. The hard part is sometimes the people around me, because there's some, like, I'm not afraid to give feedback, for example.
Yeah. Is that helpful though in your business? Like,
My clients pay me for feedback.
Yeah. So this version of you, it's going to get interesting.
It's going to get very interesting. Watch and shoot. As we say in the military, watch and shoot. We know things are out there. In the Army, it's usually a threat. So they say watch and shoot, and that's it. If you see a threat, bang it. And on deployment, that's a real thing. We're on a patrol, watch and shoot. But if you ask me for some direct feedback on something, you'd get a word salad. And if the closer it got to hurting your feelings, the more word salad it would be, which I hated about myself, but I didn't know why. And this clanker part, there's no bad parts. So clanker doesn't die. Clanker just takes a nap. Like, I don't need you. You're good. Poor clanker. He's tired. Because it's exhausting. Yeah. But now I can say, look, I'm going to give you some feedback. It's probably going to sting. And, from a sports science perspective, I know that's releasing a little cocktail in their brain. They're getting prepared for the absolute worst. And then I say, I give them the feedback. But hurting their feelings doesn't hurt them. Yeah. And if you say something and it hurts my feelings, it doesn't hurt me. And just understanding that and knowing it, I can be a lot more clarity, compassion. Yeah. And quite honestly, isn't that what they're paying for? Yeah. Like, this third lens can't read we can't read the label from inside the cup.
Well, and it just increases the impact that you're having too.
I stopped taking notes in my client sessions. I use Zoom AI just to pay attention. And at the end, I ask Zoom, okay, what are our summary? What's our action items? I've completely changed my studio. It's my office, right? I got a Sony camera and a teleprompter so I can stare right at you. And I'm just going to stare at you. Yeah. I'll let Zoom take care of all the notes at the end. I'll ask it very specific questions. It'll give me, I said, Jeff said something about what sport. He played a sport. What sport was that? And Jeff played hockey.
Yeah.
I'll say, right, what year was that again? And I don't have to remember any notes.
Details.
And then I just copy and and the things I want to remember, I can curate.
Yeah.
Which another part of me is this curator of wisdom, past and present, so that others exercise courage to pursue life meaningful to them. But if I'm taking notes, hold up. Or I'm like this.
It's the worst. The worst, man.
Sorry, what'd you say? It's a miracle I got any results at all. But, so I'm super excited. What's next?
I was just going to ask you, like, listen, to have zero context on you, to know nothing about anything, to now knowing a lot. Where are you right now? Are you like fully turned on, excited, nervous? Like, where are you? Are you ready to charge? You like
interesting. So, if you look on a 2x2, high energy, low energy, pleasant, unpleasant. There's a Mark Brackett is a psychologist, and he created this How We Feel, I think is the name of the app. It's free. It's amazing. And nervous and excited are on the same. They're just, this is nervous, this is excited, and here's the border.
Yeah.
They're almost the exact same experience, but one is a little bit unpleasant and one's pleasant. So just knowing that, I'm very excited what's happening. Again, rewiring my thinking is like nerves are, I'm doing something that I care about. I always was, but this, like I can now touch it.
Yeah.
I'm dreaming, and I don't mean by dreaming, I mean like podcast. I thought no one's going to ever listen to me. I could do a podcast. I could talk to really interesting people. I know a lot of interesting people just in the last 15 years in sport, military. My platoon commander, I won't name him. I'll give him a fake name. Tony. Captain Tony. I was legal drinking age. We went and played rugby down in on the Red River, just south of Winnipeg in North Dakota. Tournament all day, play right on the Red River on the ice. It's a gas. Everyone's got pressure cuts from falling the ice and splitting. Like, we're all busted up, beat up, cold. But then there's free drinks at this pub just a half a block away from the river. So we're all changed up and we smell good, look good. Now we want to go look for someone to dance with. And he's behind me and he goes, tap, tap, tap. Do you have your ID? Yeah. Do you think I can use it? What? Okay. So here's my Manitoba driver's license. Oh, no, I used my military ID. And then I said, thank you very much. I put it down and just Tony grabbed it behind me, flick. They didn't notice a thing and let us both in. They probably knew. I mean, anybody who's worked at the door of a pub, they knew, especially Americans. So he's 20. 2 years later, he ends up in the Airborne Regiment. And this is classic airborne behavior. He's married, his wife's in Ottawa, but they haven't moved in yet. So he goes, hey, my furniture's arrived in Ottawa. Can you help me? Yeah, sure. So I've already got a year in the Airborne and been to Somalia and back. And he's a great platoon commander. And I meet him in Ottawa. We get his sofa in the elevator. But when we get off on the 23rd floor, whatever, it was over 20, couldn't turn the corner. So we knocked on the door, opposing it. The lady opens, she lets us in. We pushed the sofa through her door from her balcony to his balcony. And that's how we got, he's a general today. And like if I had a podcast, I'd want to talk to every single person that I met when they were this, and now they're this, and how did you get there? One guy was a rugby player and a school teacher. Now he's a professional comedian, Mike Bubbins in Wales.
It's endless.
There's just the coach I played for in rugby here went off to be the head coach of an Australian. Like he's from Australia, but he coached. Now he was the head coach of the Wallabies, not the Wallabies, sorry, the Wartas, professional team in Australia. My daughter's heading down to Australia, and I'm going, hey, Darren, because I think he's part of this whole tour side. Yeah. because he would coach for the Saints. My daughter's with the Saints now instead of the Rams. Like, we could have these conversations. And then the clients, I love my clients. I love them. They have, some of my clients they make my stories look like kindergarten. And there is a thread. Everyone's got some big disruptions in their life that I didn't curate it like that. I want to know who takes private planes. And I know a guy who sells private planes, but I want to know, what do you worry about? Like, because we're all human. And in theory, the higher you go up the, whatever you want to call it, food chain, society, class, however we describe that. Every human worries, every human stresses, every human wonders, are they going to like my presentation? Are they going to like my pitch? But it seems like the higher they go, what's the feedback they get up here? And I don't know. I can assume and other things, but I've met people who I think, you've got the world by the tail and $2 billion in the bank. What do you worry about? I got hot dogs in the fridge, and that's my, I'm selling a photocopier, and that's, so I think what sports science knows, what business does, you got a 5 to 50 year gap in knowledge. And now sports science has turned a corner. Sports psychologists are now retiring from their teams, and now they're showing up at Major League Baseball and hockey stadiums, and they're coaching the owners. So when Matt Brown said an athlete has he says they're just turning over every stone. Well, so is the management now. So Matt Brown's probably not just talking to the Calgary Flames. He's probably talking to ownership and management and all those guys. Well, there's businesses out there that former sports psych they don't want to be, baseball teams on the road, how many games, right? 80 some games, whatever it is. But I know 2 of them who work together now, and that's their offer. So they're not even touching business. They're just staying in the whole segment of athletics, but now they're coaching the owners of athletics. Because they want to know what the athletes know. How do you stay dialed so that you can still function? Think about this. When you lose, you lose a deal or you win a deal. Think about the last time, from a business perspective, new client, new vendor, whatever it might be. But where were you when you got the news that it wasn't going to go your way?
Probably at home.
Doing what?
Just working.
Where?
My basement. Sit in my office.
Were anybody else at home?
No.
Okay, so you're alone in your basement, sitting in your office. Email, phone, or text?
Phone call.
Okay. Ever heard no over text? Or email?
Email. Email, yeah. For sure.
Okay. What about wins? Where do you hear them? In person? Email? Phone? Text?
It's probably a combination.
Okay. Alone or with others?
Alone.
Interesting. So you hear bad news alone?
Yep.
Or the news you didn't want?
Yep. You
hear disappointment alone? And you hear some great news alone?
Yep.
What's it like when you're an athlete? We just had AFC Championship, NFL AFC Championship, right? The Patriots won. Big stadium, snow and all.
Yep.
Denver lost at home. The Patriots celebrate on the field together in front of fans in the stands and everybody on TV and the radio. Where did the Broncos go?
Back to the locker room.
With who?
Their team.
Yeah. Not alone. They win and lose as a team together. They console each other together.
Yeah.
Business almost always is the opposite.
Yeah.
You win and lose in isolation. And that's messed up. How many, you get another no, and another no, and a yes, another no. There's probably more no's than yeses.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, right? But you're getting all those messages in isolation. And that has an impact. So we throw in some armor. You can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Then you head into the kitchen and take that can of whipped cream. Never done that before. You're on the toilet. I don't know if you've ever gotten bad news on the toilet, but it's pretty popular behavior. Sit on the toilet. We have a sign. Text me if you're out. I know you're on your phone. So since that last journey, I've never taken my phone into the bathroom ever, unless it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
But normally it just sits somewhere else. But if it's in my pocket, it never comes out of my pocket. I go in, I go out. There's no more numbing.
Yeah.
There's no more distractions. So I wouldn't know if I got a bad win or loss. But I've gotten them in the bathroom. Because you got, remember? What if? Got to always vigilant, always vigilant. Head in the kitchen, grab some ice cream. Some do it. Some will go do it other ways. Like there's lots of ways to numb pain. So now I'm down 10 pounds.
That's good. You're on your way.
Yeah. Think about another ultra. Hang out with clients, do more collaboration. Back to the stitching.
Yeah.
I know some really good dudes out of the U.S. military now. And we did a joint thing in Boston. And I want to do another thing with them.
Cool.
And so that's what I think about now. Is now it's like, it's good. You can't hurt me. You might hurt my feelings, but you can't hurt me. Get a night in the tent.
Everything works.
Everything. Yeah. Business is hard. But it's harder if you don't feel it. So feel it. It would be my unsolicited advice to anybody is just feel the feels, let them come through. Feelings are impermanent, happy or sad. And then go for it. You'll learn.
That's what it is.
Yeah, look at this set. Like, look at all the things it's the result of you learning. You have how many sets?
4.
And they're all uniquely different. No one has to worry about a thing. The experts are here. They just got to sit and share their message. You take care of all of it.
Yep.
Because you probably had to do it all by yourself.
Yep.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin.
Classic.
Relearn it every time.
Yeah.
Now just the gear stays up.
Yep.
And there's people out there who just, they don't know this exists yet. So why not swing for the fences?
Yeah.
Let's tell people, have more conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the recipe.
Spend some time in nature.
Oh, I'm good at that. Thanks for doing this.
An absolute pleasure.
Like, to catch you at this time is like fascinating to me.
The universe conspires. Yeah.
I don't give it a lot of thought, but I trust that. I trust that idea.
I was 17 working on a ranch, that ranch hand, that very first summer. And chainsaw had been rebuilt. The chain brake had been tossed. It didn't work anyway. So me and the owner are building a chicken run outside the chicken shed. Neighbors come over to visit. So he heads in, keep working. I do. And so I think, what does he know about efficiency? So I nail the rail on, and the rail is here, and so here's the post, and then the rail's further. So I just bang it on, and I'm going to eyeball it and cut the rail halfway down the post. When I did that,
oh, no way.
I kicked back, and no pants, no cut pants, no eyeglasses, no safety equipment at all. And I was like, it felt like someone hit me over the head with a baseball bat. And then I thought, I put my hand up, there's blood everywhere. And I thought, how the hell are you going to join the Army now if you've got a freaking hole in your head? And I thought, wait a minute, I must be okay. So I took out my shirt, wrapped it up, ended up in an aid station, fixed it, and stitched me up. But from that day, it's like I should not be here for a lot of reasons, and that's just one of them. I pay attention to the world around me. So if I send an email and whether I get no response or a response, like I had invited you to a dinner, the good people, no good people dinner.
Yeah.
And you responded. You were great. You didn't ghost. But people do.
Which is so weird.
But then here we are now.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated to what you and I have even done. Like, and so whether it's staring at that star the same night after I got my head rolled over in the wagon and, my uncle's dead the next day from a head injury, or this chainsaw that just constantly reminds you, like, you should be a statistic. So, pay attention. Yeah. I think success is hidden in plain sight. You just gotta look. And if you're scrolling, spraying whipped cream in your mouth, 1 or 2 is okay. But a can a day, I draw the line. Like, just look up. Just look up and ask for help. Accept help when it's offered. Start naming some of these stitches. Yeah. I've never been more excited for my life like I am now.
Amazing.
And I got amazing people, wife, kids, friends, you, all part of it. And yeah.
It's a time. I end the show with one question. When I say Calgary, where's your head go?
Paradox. When I first moved to Calgary, or when I started visiting, I fell in love with the city immediately. And I absolutely loved the vibe and the energy. And people would hear, like, oh, where are you from? I said, well, I live in Edmonton now. And they go, oh, cool. And I'd go back to Edmonton in the early days when I was just commuting. And they'd say, what'd you do on the weekend? Oh, I went to Calgary. And some of my friends like, you went to Calgary? Like, yeah, like Calgary, blah, blah, blah. Calgary got snow in August and they're crying. And I'm like, huh. Calgary doesn't talk about Edmonton, but you talk about Calgary. That's interesting to me. We have this prairie on our east. If you look, it's just flat on the east side of the city. And then you go to the west side of the city and you have this foothills and the Rocky Mountains. And I can be at Prairie Mountain Trailhead in 40 minutes from my house doing the speed limit. And to put into context, from deep south, Nose Hill Park I've gone up to Nose Hill for lots of training runs. Yeah. And it takes longer. And I got to suck noise and exhaust and whatever exists out there. Yeah. But I can go hit the trails and hike and just get lost in nature. And then we have this unique economy. And we have so Tyler Chisholm did his 500 podcast event. Yeah. I think you were there.
I was there, yeah.
When it was over, I said, what a gift to be here. I said, your event made me fall in love with Calgary all over again. I totally forgot how many people love Calgary, want to make Calgary home, want to build a business in Calgary. They want to bring people from other places, whether it's countries or provinces or states, to Calgary to work because it's beautiful. We got room. And because ever since COVID, I kind of went down in my basement, literally. And then after COVID, I stayed in my basement, literally. And if I leave, I have, a couple Calgary clients. We see each other here and there. Yep. And I always enjoy that. But the rest of the time I'm on Zoom or I'm with Canada, the United States. So I don't get into Calgary very often. Yep. And I fell in love with Calgary all over again. And so there's this paradox. If you believe Calgary sucks, you're going to look around and you're going to find all the evidence that sucks exists. Yeah. But if you think Calgary is awesome and opportunity and people are magical and man, woman, shape or size makes no matter. I have been treated with kindness in this city since the very, very beginning of moving here in 97. It is my absolute favorite city in this country. And short of some existential weird thing that I have no idea about, I can't imagine living in another city in in the country, because where else do you get what we have? Yep. Love Edmonton, but it's 3 hours to the mountains. Vancouver's cool to visit, but
Yeah.
you know, like it's Vancouver and traffic and congestion and there's, you know, your neighbor is half an arm away from you, but you can find absolute peace and tranquility in seconds. Fish Creek Park, largest
Yeah.
provincial park in the country, and it's in the middle of our city. So yeah, Calgary is this beautiful paradox. You see what you're looking for.
Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the gift.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And now that we're connected, like really connected, it'll be fun to kind of watch this version of you and watch what you get up to. So thanks for taking the time.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.